Okay, so this is our first clip. I like to call it the envisioned scenario, meaning this is what we've been doing actually for quite some time regarding the first arriving engine and first tanker. It's also what was envisioned in the policy. So we have the building on fire. We have the magical lane. Of course, sometimes that's longer than others. The expectation is that the first arriving engine is going to lay out from generally the end of the driveway or the end of the lane. Double clappered Siamese on the end, that is the intent on that. And some of this is going to depend on the arrival of the tanker. The good thing in most all of our houses that have non-hydrant area, we have a tanker coming pretty close behind the first arriving engine. So that tanker comes up and co-locates or gets in position close to that engine as best as possible. You got to keep in mind some other stuff, which we'll speak about in a moment. The intent is while folks are getting ready for fire attack, and maybe even fire attack is initiated using tank water carefully as the tanker arrives, that the tanker is going to break that supply line. They're going to take the supply line into their pump. And then from the high flow discharge on the tanker's pump, they're going to supply that engine, the first arriving engine. And that has been the traditional setup, right, that we've been doing for quite some time. And it has been effective, and the key is support that fire attack. We have folks arriving, we want to be able to support their operation. That first arriving engine officer has to call the play, right? This is going to be our attack tanker operation. Going to have to establish command, give his on-scene report, all the parts of what we to do or what we do in any other structure fire. So now the second arriving engine shows up. Second arriving shows up. The intent there is that they also proceed in the general vicinity of the first engine and tanker. That configuration can be different in every different scenario. The intent there on the new policy, which is a bit of a change from what we had done previously, is that the second engine then prepares to give their water to the tanker. So that's going to go from the high flow discharge on the second engine to an intake on the tanker. Where we do not want to hook up to on this tanker is any of the direct fills, right? We want to use the pump. Basically, this tanker becomes an inline relay pumper that has a storage capacity, right? So 30,000, 3,500 gallons. It's almost like having a dump tank up here that you can use. So the other important part about all of this is going to be access for other apparatus. And we clearly understand that each scenario is different. Most likely, and somewhere early in order of arrival, is going to be an EMS unit. That EMS unit is going to be important to keep in mind that, hey, I want to have it positioned to get out in case I do have patients, somebody injured, whatever. The other part of that is we probably want to get some kind of special service as close to the building as possible. Again, we understand each configuration is different, but it's important to leave that lane, that driveway, whatever that street might be, open as best as we can. Because we then realize that it won't be much longer afterwards that we now have other units, the balance of that box alarm assignment coming, and they're going to have to manage water supply at the end of this lane, right, with the double clapper Siamese and transitioning to whatever operation they're going to transition to. So we'll speak about this part of the operation and a couple other clips ahead, from now. But this is the basic setup that we're looking at and the finer points of how we expect that all to be set up.